In this video, I'm going to help you understand how to schedule reports using ZENworks reporting. The use case here is you've got ZENworks reporting, you've built some kind of a report, and you now want to have those run on a regular basis and scheduled to output those reports to email or FTP or into the reporting repository. The requirements here: the ZENworks reporting server has been installed. You can connect to the database server hosting the endpoint management data. The reporting domain for the endpoint management product you wish to report against has been imported. You're a member of a group that provides ZENworks reporting access, and you've configured the necessary FTP or email connection information and credentials, or you at least have them depending on which one of those you're using. The steps: you create the report you want to schedule, then you schedule it, configure when it runs, configure the output options of the report, and then let it go. Let's go ahead and take a look at how this works in the real world. What I have here is a report that I've created. This is a report coming out of my service desk environment. Basically what I've done is created a report that is certificate items that I've identified in my CMDB that are expiring in the next 30 days. While I have it here, I thought I'd take a moment and explain a little bit about custom measures. So you'll see here there's this field called days until expiration. That didn't actually exist in the domain. What I did is I was actually able to create my own measure because I thought that was an important thing to have. And so I created a measure, and you can see there's all of the functions that you can use. In my case, what I've done is I'm rounding the elapsed days between the field that I'm bringing into the report and today's date. And so that then translates to 30 days because of the way I've set up the report. So you'll see here I have one certificate that's expiring sometime in the next 30 days. Looks to me like it's expiring exactly in the next 30 days. I've actually set up my report this way so that you get emailed on the day it hits 30 days. You might want to get emailed every day. If you wanted to do that, you'd probably set this to is on or before the next 30 days, and then every day until somebody updated the certificate, you'd get an email. Now in my use case, I'm actually going to use ZENworks reporting to send an email to service desk, which will then open an incident, so you wouldn't want to have an incident opened every day. Alright, so I've got the ad hoc view. I've actually created a report. So if I look in the library, here's my report. This cert's expiring in 30 days. If I right click on that, I can say I want to schedule that report to run, and then I can get into how to schedule it. So we'll say create a schedule. I can tell it a start date. In my case, we'll start it immediately. I can specify a recurrence, so I might do a simple recurrence and say I want to run it every day. I'm not going to have any days I skip. On the parameters tab, if I wanted to change this, let's say the report's for 60 days, but I wanted to make it, or for 30 days and I wanted to make it 60, I could come in here and change the field value to 60, and now when it ran, it would actually pass that value in. Here, we want it to run at 30. The output options control what you want to have happen. You'll see here by default, you can specify a naming convention for the file name. You've got the time zone and what language you want to output. The formats, you can specify what format you want it in. In my case, PDF is what we're going to do. And I'm actually not going to store the file anywhere. I just want to send an email. I don't really want to keep it anywhere. But if you did want to keep it, you could basically say either output it to the repository, in which case someone would have to log into ZENworks reporting to see it. I can output it to the host file system. So if, for instance, there is a location on the ZENworks reporting appliance that you've got something else pulling from, you could put it in that directory, or you can output it to an FTP server or an FTPS server. In my case, I don't have an FTP server I'm going to dump to, so I don't need to configure that. Instead, what I'm actually going to do is configure email notifications. And so I've set up a mail server that Jaspersoft or ZENworks reporting can use. I'll go in here and tell it who I want to send an email to. There are a couple of ways. here I'm just going to send it to myself so I can prove to you I get the email. But in my production environment, what I typically do is for something like this report, I would send this to the email address of the service desk team that supports those certificates. And when it gets that request from this user, it will actually open an incident or a service request, depending on which team you send it to. And it will attach the report as the data so that you can see what happened. It'll add the subject and the message. So in my case, I could say certificates expiring soon. And the message body could be something like, there are SSL certificates that are expiring in the next 30 days. Please review and address the issue. I can include the reports as an attachment. And then one important thing you probably want to do when you do scheduling like this, you probably don't want to send emails for empty reports. So if that report's running every day and it runs tomorrow and there's nothing that's going to expire in the next 30 days, you don't want it to send an email and spam the person. Just go ahead and leave it and it'll skip that. If you want to be notified of job notifications, so you want to know when it successfully ran or you want to know if it failed, you can set that up. Here I just don't care. So I can go ahead and hit save. I'll go ahead and say daily scheduled job is my job name. So you can have multiple jobs for the same report. Now this will take just a minute. You'll see it doesn't have a last run date, but we had set it to immediately, which means here in just a moment it'll finish running the scheduler and we should actually have gotten data in our report, and so it should send an email. So we'll wait till the last run catches up and then we will go off to GroupWise and see if I managed to get the email. So you'll see the last ran is now there. So in theory, if I go over here to my GroupWise Web Access and I log in, because I told it to send it to me, you'll see I got an email, certificates expiring soon. There's the text I added, and then there's the report attachment. I can click on the report attachment and open that up, and you can see there's the report. So that's how you can schedule reports, the flexibility of being able to put it on an FTP server or a mounted file system, or send it to an FTP server or email address, makes it very flexible for you to determine how you get these reports. If you don't want to have somebody log in and consume them, you can basically proactively push them out. Hope you found this useful.